Hey there, we're back. It's time to do some for loops. Right now on my screen, I have this cool little flower. And the way you get there is you are at the introduction section of for loops. So let's take a look. What are for loops? Repeating yourself. What are for loops? Repeating yourself. So imagine you're helping someone plant seeds in a garden. Not sure why you do that, but bear with me. So what they want you to do is they want you to take each of these 4 seeds, make a hole, plant the seed, and move 5 inches forward. At this point, you're like, what? 5 inches? Are you in America? Just tell me in CM. Never mind, right? So bear with this person. So this is a sequence of events, right? For every one of these 4 seeds, you have to do something else, and then do yet another thing before you go back to the first one. Let's take a look at how this might work in graphical format. Okay, so let's review what you've been asked to do. First, make a hole. Okay, so let's make a hole over here, right? That's step number 1. Okay, then step number 2, which is to place the seed. Boing! Right, here's a seed, place it in there. And finally, step number 3, move 5 inches forward. Let's pretend we know what an inch is. I have no idea. And move it forward. Okay, so that's number 3. When you're done with all these steps, now you need to repeat them all over again, right? You are in a position to, once again, get started by making a hole, dropping a seed, and moving forward by 5 inches, whatever they are. And how many times do you do this? 4 times. So you've already done 2. So 3, pretend I drop in a seed and so on, and 4. Okay? And by the end of it, you would have moved all the way off the end of the little plant box, but that's fine. What you've done here is you've repeated your code 4 times using just 3 commands. And that's very efficient. Instead of having 12 commands, which is 3 times 4, you are just having 3 commands repeated 4 times. Very cool, very efficient. One thing we want to note here is that computers are great at repeating themselves. If I asked you to write an essay 500 times, you would be very, very annoyed with me. But a computer would not, as long as you give it all these very detailed instructions on how to write the same thing 500 times. So let's take good advantage of that. We are going to get Swift Playgrounds to repeat the same thing many, many times. Let's take a look at what this looks like in code. To write the for loop, you're going to use this thing called for and include the number of times each loop will run. Hey, look, there's a fun little animation. All right, cool. Let's quickly review what this code looks like. You'll see over here that there is a for loop. Right, here's a little for loop. Pardon my drawing, right? And if you've ever done any kind of block coding, this might look familiar. This is like those alligator-shaped blocks that you see in things like Sphero and MakeCode and things like that. And what this means is that all your code is enclosed within this for loop. This means that these 3 lines of code right here will be repeated the number of times you specify. How do you specify the number of times it runs? Here you go, 4. All right, it says here, you're going to run this 4 times. If you want to run this 5 times, you can probably guess what you do. You would change this 4 over to 5. All right. There's a bunch of other code and syntax going on, which I won't spend too much time on. Look over here. There's this thing called each seed. And what this means is it's just saying, well, for every seed, please do these 3 steps. Okay, for every seed. Once you're inside the loop, then you're just going to be dealing with 1 seed at a time. All right. This 1 over here is just a starting number. We are going to keep this at 1. And we're going to say 1.4, which means we want to do this 4 times. Okay, so I hope this is clear. You're going to see a couple of examples of this. So let's take a look at what this looks like as code. As you notice, the for loop is written in code, but make a hole, place the seed, and move 5 inches forward is written in English. Now we're going to see what it looks like as code. It could be make hole, open bracket, close bracket, place seed, and move 5 inches forward. And as you can see, as each of these things is happening, we are stepping through the code, just like you would in Swift Playgrounds. And you will see this is how we repeat the process 4 times. After it finishes the last line, it goes all the way back up to the first line in the for loop. All right, so this is what's going on. The commands in the curly braces are repeating. Let's get started with coding. You have 2 exercises over here. The first one has to do with getting byte to move across a little landscape, as you can see over here. Okay, you can see that byte is trying to move from the first step all the way to the last step. So byte is over here on the first step, and he's trying to move over to the last step. And in between, you have to make him collect a gem, right? Don't forget to pick up money on the floor randomly, right? This is not very good life advice, but it's great for Swift Playgrounds. One thing I'd like you to take a note of is when you reach the final tile, that's a portal. And this portal is blue. So for those of you who have color vision issues, you can take note of the shape. This is a blue circle, and it leads to this blue circle over here. So it's a portal that will bring byte once he reaches this tile down to this tile over here. When he's down here, you'll notice that, hey, you know what? Byte can repeat the exact same process as before. So the code that's given to you is for I in one ... number, tap to enter code. The way the playground suggests that you solve this is enter the code to solve one row, right, which is down here. You might want to maybe move forward or do various things, and then tap over here and type in an actual number. How many times do you want byte to solve this problem? Okay, so give this a try, and when you're done, move on to the second exercise where the initial solution is given to you. Your job is to create a for loop and drag the lower curly brace to include all the commands inside the for loop. I'm not going to demonstrate it right now because that gives away the entire answer. Give it a try, see whether you can figure this out. Alright, that's all. Have fun. I'll see you in the solution video.